Welcome everyone, I'm the Hero, and today our topic is the 2D co-op comedy platformer Battleblock Theater. The game was developed by the Behemoth and published by Microsoft Studios for the Xbox 360 in April 2013. Later, in 2015, it also got released for Windows, Mac and Linux. This is the developer's third game after Alien Hominid and Castle Crashers. The game is also playable on Xbox One thanks to its backwards compatibility. Now I could go on and stumble over my words trying to explain the story, or I could just show you the opening cutscene that fills you in on pretty much anything I would have said. Yeah, I think I'll go with the latter.
Once upon a time, there was a boat. Now, this wasn't just any boat, children. It was a ship full of friends, hundreds of friends, best friends, one and all. A veritable friendship it was. Get it? But it wouldn't be very ladylike of me if I didn't mention the most noteworthy friend on board, Hattie Hattington. Say hi to Hattie. Hattie was like king friend of Friendship Kingdom, best friend to one and all, and the walking definition of handsome gentleman. Now, one fine morning, Hattie and pals set out for a new, exciting adventure. What fantastic wonders would they discover this time? Perhaps they'd come across a scary ghost ship. Perhaps they'd find an island made entirely of candy. Perhaps they'd meet a band of scary, swashbuckling pirates and join forces to find an island made entirely of candy. Who knew? But it didn't matter. So long as they were together, there were smiles to be had and adventures to be shared. Now today, 'twas a day like any other adventure day. Spirits were uncrushably high, everyone was singing and dancing and having a jolly time, when suddenly the ocean was all like surprise, and a huge, massive storm brewed out of nowhere. Boy, that was quick. And there was thunder, boom! And the lightning, boom! And the wind, boom! And like that, it was over. Is everyone okay? Said Hattie. I don't know what I'd do if I lost even one of you, Hattie continued. But the eye of the storm is very misleading, children. Never turn your back on it because the ocean was all like psych, and it came back even bigger this time, twice as big. As if Poseidon himself extended his hand in friendship and they spat in his mouth. Boy, he was pissed. He was mad. And the rain came down like a shower of bullets. And the floorboards were buckling and creaking and breaking, and pieces of their ship were raining down like shards of broken dreams. And then Reginald comes upstairs and he's all like, I say, gentlemen, I do believe we're in quite a spot of bother. And everyone else was like, really? What tipped you off, genius? And then Hattie was all like, hey, be nice. Huge giant waves thrashed the boat to and fro and to, carelessly sprinkling friend after friend into the cold, unforgiving abyss of the deep, dark ocean. Everyone was screaming like, help me! Splash! Splash! And there was this huge whale like, and made it super scary. And I think there was a shark. Yep, there he is. Oh God. And then Hattie was all like, hold on to your butts. Land ho! And bang, 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 smash! A shipwreck, as foretold by their fate books of fate. And while it seems like the end, this is merely the beginning of another fantastic journey for the brave crew of the SS Friendship.
The game was made for two-player co-op action, but as you can see, they didn't forget about loners like myself, and so you can complete the game alone as well. The game's difficulty settings are pretty basic, totaling on the two options of normal and nightmare difficulty. The normal difficulty is, quite surprisingly, normal. If you manage to die, you respawn on the last checkpoint and move on. Nightmare difficulty isn't much different, save for the fact that you have to restart the whole level when dying. To move on to other things, the game features an arena mode, on which I sadly cannot command, and the Firm Atoms Features mode, in which you play another player's levels as chosen by the game. Oh right, you can also create your own levels. The game's levels, or scenes as it calls them, are grouped into teams of 3, which are called acts. These acts are also grouped into chapters. In these chapters, there's 3 main acts, an ending scene and an encore act. You move through the scenes by collecting green gems, and once you have 3 of them, you may proceed. That being said, each scene holds usually 6 or 7 gems, and they also has a roll of yarn. Once you're finished with a scene, you get graded based on the amount of gems collected, whether you picked up the roll of yarn, and the time it took you to finish the scene. To move into customization, you can change your character's color, the shape of their head, their face, and whichever weapon you want them to wield. Both the faces and the weapons you get through buying them in between acts. Faces will cost you your gems, while for the weapons you'll need to sacrifice your yarn connection. The game's graphics are stylized and it reminds me of flash animation. It fits the game mood and in short, it looks good.
But you know what they say, when life gives you potatoes, you make potato salad.
The game's music further builds the game's mood and in places even furthers the game's... Well, how do I say this? Dumbness?
It's a secret.
That being said, being dumb in this sense isn't necessarily a negative attribute. The game also features a narrator who tries to advance the game's humor. And so, what do I think about Battleblock Theater? In my opinion, it's a funny 2D platformer that's easy to enjoy both in company and alone. But then, how does this translate to points? Well, I believe it's fair if I give the game 7 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video, and with that, goodbye.